this viewpoint is probably the most popular one here in Lisbon.
It's all the way there. It's going to be rewarding.
We are at yet another viewpoint. We just stumbled into so many of them.
I don't think they even make elevators that's like this beautiful anymore.
It is probably my favorite city of our one-year travel so far. Hey guys, and hello from Portugal.
We are currently in the city of Lisbon, and as we found out, there are a lot of Miradouros, which are also known as viewpoints.
There's also the iconic Tram 28, lots of interesting food to eat, and also a doll's hospital.
Yeah, I've never heard of Doll's Hospital before.
Let's go and find out what that is. Lisbon is one of the oldest cities in Western Europe, even older than Paris or Rome.
My first impression of Lisbon is that the weather is really nice, and there are a lot of people running, and there's a lot of hills. It's genuinely a nice location, and I really love it.
Yeah, there is a lot of hills in Lisbon. In fact, Lisbon is actually called Lisbon is built on many hills, and as a result is known as a city of 7 hills. And as you can see, there are many gorgeous viewpoints, and these viewpoints are known as Miradouro.
We came across this viewpoint that looks towards the west of Lisbon. It's really beautiful because standing on this viewpoint in front of the church, we get to see the west side of Lisbon, a bird's eye view of this really beautiful, picturesque city. And I'm already kind of falling in love a little bit with this place. We are currently at the spot where there's a funicular right here that brings people up there. We're going to climb up and then we're going to see what's up there.
And this is called the Bica funicular, and it goes up and down this hill. The ride takes about 2 minutes or less, and it costs 4.1 euros. I kind of want to wait to see how the funicular moves, because from the pictures, the funicular doesn't move downwards like this. The funicular actually moves downward like this.
Actually, I don't think that the funicular is ever going to move because it's just too expensive for the ride, and I don't think there's anybody getting in there.
We popped by a Chinese supermarket to get some bubble tea. Now we're going to head to the second viewpoint of the day, and this viewpoint is probably the most popular one here in Lisbon.
It's going to be about a 15 minutes hike up. And as you know, Lisbon is very, very slopey, so a lot of these staircases are built so that you can get from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. And it's going to be rewarding once we get to the viewpoint.
Tired. We just climbed up maybe 100 meters. Leg day. If you look at the buildings, they're actually pretty interesting. Instead of having concrete facades, they're actually made of tiles. And it's kind of interesting because when you think of tiles, you think of the interior of your house, like maybe a bathroom or something. But here in Lisbon, many of the buildings have tiles as the exterior facade. I think we have just one more flight of steps to go.
Yeah,
We're
just around this
there.
bend, I guess. Oh my gosh.
It's one segment of steps, but it's equivalent to 7 or 8 flights. show them how tall it is.
It's all the way there. 42, 43, 44. So far I'm counting 116 steps. 117, 118, 119.
Almost there.
It's 155 steps to come up here, I think, if I didn't count it wrongly.
I need to shed my parka. It's so funny because we could see everyone hesitating at the bottom of the flight of steps, and everyone taking a break at the center, and everyone's so happy when they get up here. This is a really beautiful viewpoint. You can see the São Jorge Castle, and you can also see the 25th of April bridge. And the other side, inland, you can see the city of Lisbon. It is filled with 2 to 3 story houses that are pastel colored. It's super beautiful. I love the colors of the buildings. We are at yet another viewpoint. We just stumbled into so many of them. This one is not that high, but you can see the sea very close by, and there is a cruise ship docked just right there. And because we are closer to the buildings, I can see so many more mirrors from here, especially that one. That really pretty one with a little lady and like birds.
I think it's these Miradouros that kind of like makes all of us feel a lot more appreciative of the beauty of Lisbon. Without these Miradouros, like, I don't know if Lisbon would be equally beautiful because you can only see everything from down below. We just walked into Alfama. Alfama is Lisbon's oldest neighborhood. And in this neighborhood, there is a lot of different restaurants, winding streets, cobblestone streets, and it kind of like brings me back in time.
One of the most iconic things here in Lisbon is the yellow Tram 28. It has been in operation since the 1930s, and today it goes through the historic neighborhoods of Lisbon. However, for us, we are not going to take the Tram 28 because it looks very crowded. Instead, we are going to get a better view of Tram 28 by standing in Alfama and looking at it go through the tight turns and narrow alleys.
When the streetcar passes through Alfama, there's a certain charm and nostalgia in the air. There's also the occasional jam that's caused by the streetcars waiting for passengers to get on and off at the bus stops.
Yeah, and that's because these narrow roads through this neighborhood is just one way up and one way down, and everyone has to stop behind the tram to wait for the tram. It is also really interesting that when all the cars and all the tuk-tuks are waiting behind the tram, no one is honking and no one is trying to overtake. Everyone is just waiting patiently behind the trams.
Yeah, it kind of throws us back into time, and I'm so glad that they preserved this part of history in Lisbon. After a full day of walking, we have finally decided to get some lunch.
So this place sells tinned fish and you can bring it home as souvenirs. Something else that you can do is to actually dine in here and eat the tinned fish. A while ago, eating canned fish wasn't very fashionable or wasn't something that everyone did. But the recent economic crisis kind of brought it back, and that economic crisis brought about this new obsession with canned fishes in Portugal. On top of that, canned fishes are actually very nutritious, and all these artisanal or boutique canned fish shops started sprouting out. Yeah, that's why we're eating canned fish today.
So there's the sardines in tomato, and then there's the mackerels in mustard, and then the last one would be the tuna in spicy olive oil.
Each plate costs €6 and this basket of bread costs €3.
So I'm going to try the tuna with spicy olive oil first. Already it smells very fishy all around. The ferment of the fish is actually quite strong. I wish it was warmer, you know, like how I warm up canned fish before I start eating, but it's actually very delicious. Now I'm going to go with mustard. I've actually never had mustard with fish before. The mustard is not very strong actually, but like, you know, it just mixes around with the flavor and it's quite nice. I think this got to be my favorite one so far out of the two. And finally, this is the sardines in tomato sauce. This is actually very good. I think this is much better than the other two. Growing up, like my parents would cook it, I think it tastes very familiar. And this one is kind of fresh too.
The sauce actually gets absorbed into the bread, so it makes the bread very tasty as well. I think this is pretty good.
Usually I'll eat this with rice, but they don't come with rice as an option here. So I think like bread is good enough of a carbs to supplement the entire meal. Okay, so we're going to tuck in because like we're so hungry. We have been walking the whole entire day and now it's time for some food. Hey guys, this is Aaron from the future. I wanted to pop in here really quickly because while editing we realized that we didn't really give a lot of love to this segment, partly because both of us, Shah and myself, never grew up with dolls when we were much younger. So after digging into the history of dolls as well as learning more about the famous doll hospital in Lisbon, I realized that it's a really fascinating place and we can't wait to share with you a little bit more. See, dolls are more than just toys. They're also memories of someone else. They're also keepsakes. They are moments, they are emotions, they represent the culture of someone else. For me, I never actually grew up having dolls in my life. But the closest parallel that I could find is this camera that I used to own when I was much younger, or this Bose speaker that I bought for myself during my first paycheck. These are objects someone might have given to you, or maybe the first ones you have ever owned. And regardless, just like dolls, they carry a lot of personal history. And that is where the doll hospital comes in. It is like a place that repairs all those memories. When the doll arrives, they treat it like a real patient.
In this side, we have the most recent dolls with not a lot of complications, and we also have the bed number and the multi of the complication. To put perna possível, put a leg.
There's a diagnosis, there's a surgery, they are fixing broken limbs, they're replacing the missing parts, they're treating a doll like a human and turning those memories and bringing them back to life. And at the back, there's also a small museum. This museum doesn't just have Barbie dolls from Mattel, they've got dolls from all around the world, from different cultures and different time periods. And each of these dolls were once a beloved friend to someone else, which is still kind of a weird concept for me, but it's also something that's really interesting. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I'm going to cut back to the point where we exit the doll museum and we'll share more of our thoughts then.
That was crazy.
It's so crazy, right?
It cost us €3.50 per person to go out for the museum and the dolls hospital tour. The museum has over 4,000 dolls, and there was this lady showing us and explaining to us. It was so surreal. The first doll that she explained to us was this German doll, and she was like, oh, this is a porcelain doll from Germany, and these dolls have no legs. And I was like, wait, what? We continue on. She was going around explaining to us the many vintage dolls from all over the world. And then there was this room, and she was explaining like, oh yeah, these are like a bunch of dolls from here and there, and that's Annabelle. And I was like, wait, what? And then she turned around and then she explained, these are another bunch of dolls from here and there, and that's Chucky. I was like, and she said it so casually, and this whole time I was just being so scared because there were so many dolls staring at us. Yeah.
I have no idea. It's not a big space, but the tour takes about 20 to 25 minutes. All the walls and all the shelves are stacked up with dolls, and I just think that's just really incredible, considering that like I've never experienced something like this before. So we are right in front of Park Figueira, which is right in front of Dollhouse, and in just a bit we're going to witness one of the solutions that was built in 1907 to transport people from where we are right now to the hill above them. As you know, Lisbon is very hilly, and back then in 1907, this elevator was built by the architect that built the Eiffel Tower in France. And when it was first opened, it was such a success because over 3,000 people rushed to buy tickets to actually go up this elevator. I mean, like today, when we take elevators, it's like a very normal experience, but back then, this was a groundbreaking innovation, and we are just about to witness that right at that turn over there. Let's go. This elevator right behind me is just wow. Wow, because like I've never seen elevators this beautifully designed before. I don't think they even make elevators that's like this intricate and this beautiful anymore.
Usually when you think about elevators, you think about it inside a building to bring you from like the ground level to your accommodations, but this is just right in the middle of a street. This tower itself is about 11 stories tall, and it looks pretty grand from the ground level.
Apparently the elevators can carry 15 people down and 20 people up. Why this discrepancy, I don't really know. Maybe it's because of gravity.
I guess more and more people will be left at the top. This elevator is as popular today as it was back then, because currently there are over 50 people queuing for the elevator, and it is a Wednesday. Unfortunately, because there's a queue and we have to pay to get in, we are not going to head up, but we are going to walk over to the other side to show you more of the views.
Finally, we climbed all the way up here and are at the top of the elevator. There's a viewpoint right there, overlooking entire Lisbon on the other side. Pretty stunning.
Look at that beautiful scene. If you see that hill right over there, above the colourful buildings, there is a bunch of trees. That was where we were at just now.
So I took a little bit of a sneak peek inside, and it's quite interesting. Inside is wooden. There's a tapping machine where you actually make that €6.10 payment. And when you arrive at this gallery platform on the viewing platform, one of the attendants will open the door and then welcome everybody out to the view.
The sun is about to set and we are going to head to our last destination for today, which is the Pink Street. And this street comes alive at night. We are now at Pink Street. This place was once Lisbon's red light district, filled with brothels, sailors and bars. Now it's painted pink, and this is where Lisbon's nightlife is at. It is about 6:30 PM right now, and we can see everyone is just setting up their restaurants and bars.
I'm pretty sure on a Friday or Saturday, this place is just going to be like very, very noisy. And right behind me is a Liverpool bar. I don't think there's a match today, so that's why not a lot of people are watching Liverpool today. We're generally not nightlife people, so we're probably going to give this place a miss. We'll see you guys tomorrow where we're going to go to the LX factory. Hey guys, today is our second day here in Lisbon, and today we are going to go to LX factory.
LX Factory is this hipster place with a bunch of restaurants and bars, and also many shops selling boutique items such as jewellery, clothes, and even a record store.
Wait, is it really hipster?
I don't know.
Let's go check it out. Something about the artworks of this place makes this place really, really special. Like for example, this one. The more I look at this, like the more I feel like there's a family portrait of sorts and somebody was painting it as a mural. It's just really, really cool to watch all of this artwork come to life at this place.
I actually think that these faces are really creepy. Every single person has the same style of eyes. Even the eagle has the same eye.
Has just easily blended in this entire culture here. At some point of time she was saying like, no, should I become more like hipsters or whatsoever, because she associates this place with obviously hipsters. But the more I look at her socks, I realize that like she perfectly blends into this place.
I think this could be our thing. First we got some Lawson socks from Japan, and then now we got some banana socks here in Lisbon. I think that could be our thing.
Will socks be an indicator of whether or not you can fit into a space? I really do not know. Shall we go to Matcha Mama and get some matcha together?
That sounds like a tongue twister.
That's it for Lisbon, guys. We really love the energy and the temperature and the food and the diversity and everything the moment we arrived into Lisbon.
Lisbon is a city full of character, and I must say, it is probably my favorite city of our one-year travel so far.
If you haven't caught our last video, we were in Sicily. If not, catch our next video where we'll be traveling to Sintra. Bye-bye!